There once was a boy named Jack who lived with his widowed mother in a poor farm. Jack was strong and healthy, but realized that soon he and his mother would have nothing to eat. The crops were not growing, so his mother sent him to trade in a cow for some gold. Jack progressed through the village toward the market when a man stopped Jack and offered to trade him magical beans in exchange for the cow. The beans would grow to feed a whole kingdom for years, he said. Trusting the man, Jack trades in his only cow for the promise of feeding himself and his mother. The mother, however, is less willing to believe such promises. How could you trade our cow for beans? Unknown to both Jack and his mother, the beans were thrown into a nice patch of fertile land. With the rain falling, the beans started to grow and grow and grow. Jack was awfully surprised by the size of the beanstalk that grew and very much anticipated for a mighty dinner. However, a fairy visited him before he could even start chopping. Jack, up this beanstalk is a land above the clouds. There, a castle home to a cruel giant who holds mighty feasts, and most importantly of all, a large hen who lays eggs made out of gold. Go there, defeat the giant, and have the hen make you the richest of all the land. Compelled by the idea of a new land and a hen with golden eggs, Jack followed the glowing fairy up the beanstalk. Jack looked up at the huge castle in front of him, a huge home to a huge giant. Despite the danger of fighting a giant who would more likely eat him rather than feed him, Jack felt no fear as he moved onward to the castle. In front of the castle doors, the wife of the giant. Jack thought about having to fight or sneak his way through, but the fairy had a different plan. Lady Giant, my friend here has come a long way to come visit me, but has nothing to eat. May you show him in for some breakfast and show him around our wonderful land. Of course, my dear fairy. Jack walked with the giantess into the castle, but the fairy stayed behind. I will be here to give any help. Just call for me, and I'll come to your aid. As Jack moved through the castle of the giant, he suddenly felt the vibration of loud footsteps coming closer. 3, 5, 4, 5. I smell the blood of a human man. Be he living or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread. Jack quickly thought of a plan and carried it out in a flash. He opened the oven and jumped inside to hide from the giant. But the giant had a strong nose for humans. He sniffed all around his kitchen until he came upon his oven. The smelling of the human and the growling of his stomach prompted him to open and eat. Come on out! But Jack refused to be some snack to some burly giant. He grabbed a fork and jumped onto the giant for a fight to the death. While Jack is strong, he could not take down the furious giant. He realized he needed more help, so he called for the fairy for aid. Your heart is true and pure. It is much stronger than your arms can even carry. I shall bestow upon you the physical strength of your heart, for that is what you need to defeat the face of cruelty. Jack suddenly felt much stronger than before. He swiftly outmatched the giant towering over him and tossed him outside the castle. Before the giant could even rise to yell, Jack rushed down towards him and tossed him onto the castle with a mighty crash. The castle came crumbling down into a heap of rubble. Jack watched, wondering if maybe he could not save the golden hen that the fairy told him about. Jack, after he saved the hen, leads her down the Beanstalk, back home. While the excess of golden eggs helped Jack feed a small family, he was a kind-hearted man who cared for the well-being of others. He gave golden eggs to the poor and impoverished, allowing them to eat for decades to come. Jack the hero, his mother, and all the villagers lived happily ever after.